Sauna companies are going to hate me as soon as we get into the details of why outdoor saunas suck. There's people out there that just demand it. I want an outdoor infrared sauna. I don't care. Okay, well, if you want that, here's the options that I see in the marketplace. Here's the ones that I think look cool and will work the best for you. There's very few companies that make infrared outdoor saunas. You can find steam saunas, you can find barrel saunas, you can find everything in between, shed style finish saunas. There's DIY kits that you can build yourself. There's some stuff at Costco that's halfway decent looking. You got to look at each one of those solutions in its entirety because they're not all created equal. Some of them come with floors and some of them don't. You don't really know that until you super pay attention to it, but some of them are built on top of, you have to supply a tile floor with a drain in it. On the topic of outdoor saunas, there aren't a lot of those that specialize in making an outdoor infrared sauna. There's a few, like 3 to 4 total on the market, I think. There's some new ones coming out. We haven't had a chance to test them. A lot of them look like shit. They look like indoor saunas with a Lexan roof on them. Those are never going to last. There's no insulation in the walls. There's no coating on the outside. For the last several years, we've been recommending the ClearLight Sanctuary outdoor models because it kind of fits the bill where there's sort of lacking, the solutions are lacking in the marketplace. There's not a lot of options that are good for consumers for an outdoor infrared. I love the way the outdoor sanctuary from ClearLight looks. It has a really beautiful aesthetic. I like the inside too because they put the full spectrum heaters on the back of the glass. So even if you put it out in the cold, it has a good chance of having a pretty good preheat time. And the walls are denser than the indoor models. So they're going to hold the heat a little bit better. This thicker, higher quality construction. There are some things that I've never liked about it. And I've voiced this, I get flack for voicing my opinion sometimes because it's not favorable. I don't really like the roof construction on those things. I don't think that they're really up to par. Like if I put one in -20 in Maine and let the snow and ice wreak havoc with the edges of the roof, I think it would rip it apart, right? But that's a pretty extreme environment. And a lot of these companies say that you should use like a cover and all this stuff, which I think is insane. I'm never going to put a cover on it because it looks too nice without it. So I'm not going to ruin the look and feel of my backyard, especially up there when we're feeding the deer and we're overlooking the landscape or the trees or the woods or the mountains in the background or whatever, right? Because it looks terrible. So I'm not going to spend 10 grand, 15 grand probably by the time I trench out the electrical, put in quick disconnect, pour a paver pad or a concrete pad, set up supplemental roof protection so this thing actually lasts. But for years, this is what we've recommended because there's really no other great options in the market. There's some other like semi knockoff-ish brands that make infrared outdoor saunas. You can find them on Amazon and Wayfair, but if you just look at them, they are really cheap. They are an indoor sauna that somebody took and put I wouldn't even call it an outdoor roof. Every once in a while you'll see a shingle roof. Hardly ever do you see a metal roof. And you don't see drip edge protection. So if you don't have drip edge protection, I'm a guy that comes from a construction background. So sauna companies are going to hate me as soon as we get into the details of why outdoor saunas suck. Because it's absolutely true, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. Because we deal with this in non-sauna structures that we've had up north for 30 years, right? So when we talk about wood delamination, or when we talk about, no eave protection, or we talk about rain splash up, or we talk about UV, or we talk about all the things that can happen when a sauna is exposed to the elements without additional protection. A lot of these infrared saunas that these companies are slapping on Amazon for whatever price, when you see how thin the wall construction is with just a little spray-on varnish on the outside, that's never going to give you UV protection. Depending on how you build the pad that the outdoor sauna sits on, you're going to get rain splash up for the first 2 feet of the sauna. You just are. And based on the angle of the sun, you're also going to get UV on 3 sides of the sauna, depending on how it's oriented, right? If it faces south, that front face of it is just going to get beat on. It's just the nature of the beast. But there's people out there that just demand it. I want an outdoor infrared sauna. I don't care. Okay, well, if you want that, here's the options that I see in the marketplace. Here's the ones that I think look cool and will work the best for you. And that's what we've been recommending. Now, We're starting to see some new things come on the market. I really like the Heavenly Heat Combo Hybrid, right? Because they're trying to bridge the gap between infrared and traditional. So they have a traditional sauna heater on one corner, and then they have infrared panels throughout the rest. I'm not convinced that it will withstand the elements in Maine. I'm not convinced that it will withstand an ice storm. But it does have a much better roof on it than something like a Lexan roof or something you see on Wayfair or Amazon or any of these other, choices.
It was metal, right?
It was metal. I'm a stickler though. I mean, you're talking to a guy that would prefer to put a standing seam metal roof on something, and I can install it myself. So when I look at a sauna and it's not seamed correctly down the center and I see sealant or caulk or something that lines up that gap, is it going to be an issue? Not necessarily. But would I have rather them hemmed that joint or at least created a raised ridge in those two panels? They probably wouldn't like that because that means there'd be a mohawk, one single mohawk line going down the center of the sauna. But from a water, ice, snow, rain, sleet penetration standpoint, when you create a raised ridge like that, or you hem those two joints together, yeah, aesthetically you're creating a ridge. But you're also creating a water penetration ridge. And there's no way for the water to work itself into a crimped edge like that. And you don't need sealant, and you don't need caulk, and you don't need roof cement or anything like that, because it's designed correctly to keep water out and let gravity do what it's supposed to do. So this is very, very, very difficult for me, because if I were to build an outdoor sauna, the roof, not necessarily the walls, but the roof would be like a house roof. Like if we're truly being 100% authentic, like how would I build one of these things to withstand, the elements? It wouldn't be like any of the ones available on the market at all, right? But I'm also coming to you from the harshest environment that you could possibly put it in. Most people can get away with something of a lesser, design or build quality or whatever. And a lot of the companies, that's what they have. But the cheaper you go, I mean, you buy once, you cry once in this case. Because if you buy a cheap sauna, you might get 2 years out of it. Look at the used ones for sale that I've posted in the Facebook group before. The wood is curling on the bottom. There's mold inside. They flood. It's not like somebody built a custom sauna and then wrapped it in hardy and then caulked all the joints and gave it a really good urethane coat or something like that. Then you could take everything that I'm saying and be like, well, let's roll the dice, because the damn thing's probably going to work for 4 or 5 years before it needs a recoat. If I could hang off the edge, like if I could literally jump up and hang off the edge of a roof that we built or something like that, if the sauna was built like that and there was no issue and it had kick-out flashing and everything was, everything considering water management was accounted for, I don't think it'd be really an issue. At the same time, here's the devil's advocate. These companies would never be able to offer you that sauna for less than probably $15,000, $18,000, $16,000, $19,000, $20,000, because number one, it's going to be a lot heavier. They won't be able to ship it to you in one little package like you just got, right? So I don't know, even though this is my opinion, I don't know if my opinion really provides an alternative. Because the real alternative is for you to hire a contractor and build one. I think it comes down to what latitude you live at. If you're above like Georgia, North Carolina, all that stuff, you're going to be in the cold, so take that into account. If you live in a northern environment or in Canada or something like that where you get a ton of snow and the winters are long and really cold, take that into account, because you're going to want some extra horsepower to make the sauna perform efficiently. You're probably going to want to splurge for insulated walls, or you probably wouldn't want to go just infrared only, because if it's 0 degrees all the time, the sauna is going to take a long time to heat up inside. So you'd be better off with either a custom solution, an outdoor finish style, probably not a barrel, but a shed style sauna, maybe a Heavenly Heat combo that has traditional and infrared as well. And to answer your question, when should someone buy an outdoor infrared sauna? When they don't have space inside to adequately set up an area that really works for their lifestyle. I say the real time that you should buy an outdoor infrared and not worry about everything that I said in this video, but everything that I said in this video, I want you to know before I tell you this one thing. If you have a patio, if you have a lanai, if you have a shed with an overhang or a garage with a cantilevered roof, or you have anything where you could provide just a little bit of extra, roof protection or element protection for the sauna, I say buy it, because it will dramatically change how that sauna weathers over time. Not everybody has this. A lot of people don't understand. If I just said that and didn't tell you everything else in this video, you'd be like, oh, well, Matt said we could get infrared sauna and put it, blah, 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 on the porch, right? Well, no, I'm not talking about a 4 by 6 foot porch where everything that I just said is going to blow in underneath the eaves, right? And it's going to be the same problem. No. If you had a large area where you could provide sufficient protection for most of the outdoor infrared saunas, I think you could get away with not having the troubles that I just outlined. But I wanted you to know about all that stuff before you make that decision so that you're well informed, no one's pulling the wool over your eyes. Because, hey, listen, you're going to talk to some of these salespeople and they're going to be like, oh yeah, our outdoor sauna works fine in the snow. It works great. And then in the fine print, it's like, oh, we actually don't make an outdoor sauna. We're selling you an indoor model, and we sell you this cover that goes on it. So we're calling it an outdoor sauna because it has a weatherproof cover. That is very different. You are rolling the absolute out of those dice. I mean, just taking your chances. What happens if you take the cover off and you're in the sauna doing a sauna session and it rains? Where's the electronics? Where's the weatherproof roof cover? You would have been better off to buy an outdoor sauna from one of the companies that has a Lexan roof rather than one of those, because at least the moisture wouldn't be seeping into your wood roof right now. You need the context of everything that I said earlier in this video to understand why that's not the case. And I don't want to see you go out and spend 10 grand and get taken for a ride.